Hi, everybody. Welcome to a follow-up. Recording more of these. It's been a little while. I'm getting like farther and farther apart on these. Last one was April. That was 4 months ago. Whoops. That's okay. You slow down your pace, and your pace slows down. Tony Fletcher EP. I am not going to talk about the extra tracks that I did all too much. I did not necessarily love them. I think Paradiso was a solid track that was around Strange Times, right? Or previous album, which I'm blanking on now. That one was the notable one. All the others were just kind of like either or like solid. So I'm only going to be talking about the 4 tracks off of the Tony Fletcher EP here. So without any further ado, let's go track by track. As you can see, I have it at 3.5. It is a pretty solid EP. I didn't quite know how to feel about it at the time. And I think with time, it's actually kind of solidified a bit better. Because I kind of had to compare and contrast it with Why Call It Anything, because it definitely is like kind of pointing to that a little bit with some tracks like The Healer, I would say. So Is It Any Wonder is like a very Meat is Murder Smiths thing going on here, right? It has like that kind of dreaminess of like Well I Wonder, and the Meat is Murder track too, honestly, like very atmospheric. Has the post-punk edge, that jangly, dreamy guitar. It's easy to see why it's one of their more listened to tracks. I could kind of do without the ahs in the latter half. It's like music that's kind of ASMR-y is not always, it doesn't always vibe with me, but the outro is cool for this one. Free for All, this just kind of feels like a prime example of how the songwriting formula for the Chameleons can fall flat and just kind of sound dull and boring. One of my least favorite tracks of theirs. The Healer, like I said, has that like dreamy neo-psych jangly acoustic guitar, which they seem to lean more on acoustic for Why Call It Anything, pretty notably, if I remember correctly, whereas you only got it in a handful of tracks like Tears and whatever else from the first 3 albums. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of what we would see in the future. It's maybe a bit too long, but it's a cool soundscape. And then Denims and Curls is a nice entry in their like poppier canon, has that more new wave, big music vibe going on. I like how the guitar riffs sort of roll up and down through the verses. That's really cool too. So favorites would be Is It Any Wonder and The Healer, with a shout out to Denims and Curls. So yeah, just a small smattering of songs, and then they were kind of done at that point. Curious to know like if another album would have been good, or if it would have been closer to Why Call It Anything, which was just solid. It was okay. But I don't know. But yeah, so finally, I've wrapped up the Chameleons here. Haven't listened to them in a little while. I did have a bit of a phase where I was listening to maybe like 5 tracks by the Chameleons, which included like Nostalgia. I really dug that track for a while. P.S. Goodbye is always fantastic. Swamp Thing is always great. View from a Hill is very nice. Yeah, lots of really interesting songs. Time, End of Time, really fell in love with that track too. What a great band. A lot of stuff for the rockier, edgier, post-punky people, but also stuff for like the slower, atmospheric dream pop people too. Great stuff, and his voice still sounds great to this day. So, good job, Mark. Good job. If you're watching this, I say good job. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed the follow-up, and until next time, Godspeed.